Good evening. I am Mary Ruthio here at Waters Pub at Episcopal Homes. I am the Executive Director of Episcopal Homes Foundation. We are so glad that you could join us this evening for fun and fellowship, and we are excited to take the time tonight to celebrate you, our donors and our volunteers, to share our gratitude and let you know and see the impacts that you've made on our elders, our staff, and our community this year especially. We are so honored to have with us former St. Paul Mayor Chris Coleman. He made the mistake one night here in Waters Pub of telling us that he would bartend for us at a future event, so we could not help but take him up on that offer. He has a very special role. He is here to have some fun, tell some stories, and share with you how to assemble that fun beverage that you have in your swag bag tonight. After Chris, we will have 10 minutes of photos and videos. It's really kind of a year in review. We invite you to join. I think it's a really special. Also, don't feel free to chat tonight. Your friends will see your chats on our Zoom. However, your microphones have been disabled. At 5 p.m., you can expect that Marvin Plackett, CEO and President of Episcopal Homes, will start off a formal program. And so right now, you can grab those swag bags, sit back, and get ready to have some fun.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am Chris Coleman. I am the former mayor of St. Paul. That was in a long ago lifetime. After much therapy, I've kind of forgotten mostly about that period of my life. But it is really an honor and a pleasure to be here at Waters Pub, named, of course, after the great Ellen Waters, who has been such an incredible presence for our community and a friend of mine for many, many years. I want to thank Marvin for inviting me. I did make that offer a few years ago to bartend. Usually I do that just to get a free drink, a free beer, but they did take me up on it. It's just because of COVID, it's taken a little bit longer than we anticipated. So do grab your swag bags. I am going to walk you through how to make Floridora, which is an old-fashioned cocktail. It was introduced in New York in the early part of the 1900s, and so as I understand it, it was just kind of considered a splashy, colorful character in a musical comedy of the same name. So this is the first time I've heard of this. You know, you think that just because I'm a mayor, I probably don't know anything about the back of the bar. But long before I was mayor, I was actually a bartender. I worked at some pretty interesting places over the years. I bartended at the Carlton Celebrity Room, if you can remember that, where we spent a lot of time making ice cream drinks after dinner. So whenever the performers would come out, you would mostly hear the whir of the blenders going while everyone was ordering their creme de menthe or whatever it might be. I bartended in Glacier National Park for a summer, which was definitely a great place to bartend. I bartended over on Seven Corners. And as mayor, whenever a new bar would open up, I would do a celebrity bartending stint. And, you know, people never really believed that I could bartend. And I may prove that my skills are rusty tonight, but believe me, I do have some cred. But I also have a little cred with, I hope, with the Episcopal Homes crowd, because we go way back. And I didn't know it at the time, but when I was on the city council and we were helping to build Cornelia House, I didn't realize at the time that I was building a future residence for my mother and father-in-law, Jim and Jan Johnson. Unfortunately, Jan is no longer with us, but Jim is still here, and I'm going to join him a little bit later for a cocktail with my mentor, George Latimer, who has been just an incredible guide and friend along the way. So to Jim and George, who I know are watching, to our special friend, Kathleen Valenga, who I know is probably, I hope is out there watching, we're just glad to be here and glad to be a part of the Episcopal Home story. This really is an amazing organization. We are so lucky and so blessed to have Episcopal Homes in our community. The work that they do, the care that they give, the quality of the housing is just second to none. And so whether it was Cornelia House or Cardi Heights or any of the other projects that we worked on together, I was very glad either as council member, mayor, to do that. And I'm really glad, thanks for putting up with Jim and George, because quite frankly, the two of them, most places would have kicked out a long time ago. So let me take you through a little bit of the I'm going to do a alcohol-based Floridora, and then I'm going to do a mocktail. You have your kits in front of you. So if I understand it, you chose whether you wanted the mocktail or the regular one. Just pour that juice out of there onto a glass of ice, and then you're going to open up your ginger beer and finish it off there. So the alcohol-based Floridora is already pre-mixed, ready to go, as is the mocktail. So for those of you that are interested in learning how to do that, I'm going to try to walk you through it. I watched a video once, and I'm going to hopefully remember exactly how that worked. And if not, if I had my glasses on, I'd be able to read these instructions, but I'm just going to give it a shot and pretend like I actually can read these things. So you start off with, this is, again, we're going to do the alcohol-based one. Start off with 3 shakes of bitters into your shaker. I was told that the reason why you start with the bitters is because it's cheaper, and if you mess up at this point, you don't waste as much money. If you start off with a gin and mix it up and mess it up, it costs a little more. So start off with that, and then you're going to do 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. This is always the tricky part, is getting the lime juice into this from your strainer, but we're going to see if it works here. The hard part is knowing how to use that. So let's try that. It's a little messy, but we can, I know Marvin's ready here with a rag to clean up after me, so we're not going to worry about that too much. There we go. That's about 3/4 of an ounce. So we'll pour that in. Then you do another 3/4 of an ounce of, it is a ginger syrup, which I've got to figure out how to make ginger syrup, because this sounds like a great ingredient. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right amount of, yes, 3/4 of an ounce of ginger syrup, if that wants to come out. Okay, here we go. We'll pour that in as well. Then you take any raspberry flavored liqueur. In our case, we're going to use Chambord, and hopefully it's open. Perfect. And we're going to do just a little, about a 1/2 ounce of that, not as much of that as the lime juice and the ginger syrup. So take that, throw that in there. Then we're going to, I think that's right. All right, so then we throw our ice in. We cap this off, make sure, this is the key part, make sure that this is closed, because if you start shaking it and it's not closed, it makes a heck of a mess. So we just shake it lightly, and then you're going to strain it into the glass. You really just shake it until the cup is cold. Oh, you know what I forgot? See, this is the beauty of editing. I thought I was making the mocktail. I'm making the real one. So let's pour that back in. Now, the key ingredient is the gin. We're using Beefeaters tonight, which is actually, I think, one of the best gins, because we're doing 2 ounces of Beefeaters. And I'm a little short there, but for purposes of demonstration, we'll leave it there. Now, we make sure that we're covered. Shake it a little bit. Pour it into here. Throw some ice on top of this. And then we're going to top it off. So make sure you open up your ginger beer. And if you've already taken your kits, pour the ice in, and then just top it off with a little bit of ginger beer. And then you can take something to stir it with. We have a little stir stick. Is this an official? Hope is in the air. It truly is. If you've been vaccinated, hope is definitely in the air. So we'll mix that. And now, you're not supposed to really do this as a bartender, but I'm going to try it. Oh yeah, that would be very good. I think Connie, my wife, would take 1 or 2 of those. All right, so that's how you do the alcohol version. Now, obviously, the mocktail, which can be very good, is about the same thing. We have raspberry syrup, so we don't have the Chambord. We have a raspberry based syrup. We're going to do the same thing, 3/4 of an ounce. This is about a 1/2 ounce, so we'll do a little more of that. Then we're going to take our lime. We're going to squeeze that as well. I'm going to flip it over and do it on the other side. The interesting thing about shot glasses is they're all different. Some are 1/2 and 1 ounce. Some are 3/4 and then 1.5 ounces. So there's a real mix of those things. So we'll put the lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. And then we're going to, I feel like we're missing something here. That's right. According to all the ingredients, that's right. So, and if we mixed it, or we missed it, oh, I didn't put ice in it. So maybe my skills are a little rusty, but you'll get the gist of it. Same thing, just shake it up loosely. Then if you've been doing a couple of these, your hands get sticky, or slippery rather. We'll throw that in there. We're going to throw some ice on top of that. And once again, we're going to top it off with the ginger beer, which is really a great ingredient. We'll stir that up. We'll try not to make a mess, and we'll try that one. That's really good too. It's really nice. The mocktail craze is really taken off. You know, people that are doing dry January, people that are doing, you know, just different fastings and trying not to let COVID and quarantining get you down. Mocktails have been a really nice addition to the round of things that you can do. So I just want to again thank Marvin for inviting me. Thank all of you that have supported the work of Episcopal Homes over the year. Thank you for being a part of this incredible mission, this incredible organization. To all your wonderful supporters, all your wonderful workers, we're just really grateful for this organization in the city of St. Paul. So I'd love to stick around, but I'm going to go up to Mayor Latimer's. We're going to go up and we're going to have a little bit of a cocktail, and we'll watch the rest of the program live. Thank you so much.
Saying happy birthday, Mom, and they say we love you.
Good morning. This is a place of healing. I love it here. I feel comfortable. I feel like I found my tribe.
Hi, how are you? I'm great, thank you. Hi, ladies. Hi, Mary.
We protect each other, and because we know each other and love each other and care for each other, it comes naturally that whatever is going on that affects one human being here affects all of us.
Nathan is doing an activity. Hi, ladies.
Everybody is welcome. You're judged or appreciated by your talent, not your, like me with my Wisconsin accent here. It doesn't really matter. My color does not matter. My religion does not matter. What I bring to the table is what matters, and that goes for everybody who works here. I bring expertise in nursing. I bring love and caring to the people I supervise.
Hi. How are you?
I believe when I am here, people know I'm here. I believe I make a difference.
She's amazing. Inez is fantastic. She is so supportive of her staff and cares about the residents so much. She is incredible.
It's fun. It's life. It's just being with others. And I love it. I love it.
Hey, Adi. How are you?
Oh my God.
Yes, it's me.
We have communities here that we created. We have the household model. So we don't have a traditional nursing home. That's what probably makes the difference once you walk in here. It is a community. It's not a home for old folks. It is their home. The elders are like family to us, to a lot of us. It's not just about delivering service. It's more about being with others. So we get to know them, we get to love them, and believe it or not, they get to love us a lot too. If you have the gift of being, if you have the gift of presence, your job is half done. Mainly my job is risk management. We've done a really good job managing this pandemic. We've done a good job educating staff, knowing exactly what the risks are. With COVID, things change almost every single day. We hear something new. We hear something bigger. We hear it's getting better, and then it's really not getting better. And we try to stay ahead. This is our COVID unit. We have kept our elders safe. They are our number one priority. Our staff, the dedication of our staff to the elders, especially during this time of COVID, it's amazing. We are blessed to have the staff that we have. She has the heart. She cares for the families and the residents. How is everybody doing up here? It is really a wonderful thing to be able to work with the staff that we have. It's amazing to have people who want to come to work. Good morning. In spite of the fact that work might be dangerous for them. I can tell you that most days, no matter how difficult it is, I go home feeling very happy.
Her smile, her eyes, but it's her heart and her caring. And one of the things that I happen to know is that she writes poetry and writes beautifully. So I think that because she takes the time to be reflective about herself and her role and her place in the world, she is able to bring that to the work that she does here.
So on June 5th, 2020, I wrote a poem dedicated to George Floyd, and the title is When I Say His Name. And it goes thus. When I say his name, I am not just referring to George Floyd, who got killed right before our eyes in the presence of other police officers who decided to look away with depraved indifference while a life was put out like a light. When I say his name, I am thinking of the 400 plus years of subjugation, demoralization, and dehumanization of the entire Black race. When I say his name, I think of the many more who have gone before him in the same manner, some with video evidence, many more with no documentation and no repercussions. Countless more must have gone the same way, a quick, untimely, unwitnessed, and unjust death. When I say his name, I am thinking of all the parents of Black children who can't be at peace when their kids are not home. When I say his name, I'm thinking of these children, some of whom will not grow to a ripe old age just because they are Black. When I say his name, I'm thinking of my wide open-eyed kids as they try to make sense of the senselessness, as they ask me, Mom, why? When I say his name, it is because there is no way I can make my children understand why this happened, why this happens, why this might continue to happen. When I say his name, I'm thinking of the great disparity that has been the shame of this great nation, generation after generation. When I say his name, I'm thinking of those who are forced to prepare the feast, but not allowed to partake of it. And yet, when I say his name, I think of the love displayed by humanity this past week, from right here in Minnesota to various parts of the world. When I say his name, I am thinking of all the people from both sides of the divide who recognize this as a problem, not just of the Black race, but of the human race, as we all come together to heal a broken world. When I say his name, I say it as a prayer that will be heard by the heavens, and I know humanity will rally as one to fight and destroy evil. And today, I stand here and I say his name, George Floyd. So a lot of the elders actually joined in the protest. They went out, they carried their placards, they chanted Black Lives Matter, and that just warms your heart. It just makes you feel great to work in a place like this where you're embraced, everybody's embraced, and that is amazing. I'm really thinking of what it will be like after COVID, because I'm a hugger, and huggers are suffering. I'm hopeful, and I have faith we'll get through this.
Every Friday, this class, made up of mostly high school seniors, would take the train across St. Paul to meet another group of seniors.
I had never done any theater, ever, ever, ever.
I can't believe what a fabulous experience this has been.
It's an intergenerational theater class, and the seniors would sing, play theater games, and stage performances.
We did a version of the musical Annie, only we called it Annie.
The kids were just so enthusiastic and so excited to be here, and you couldn't help but catch that enthusiasm.
Everyone leaves with a smile on their face, whether you're a student or an older adult. Seeing them every week was kind of like, oh, I miss you. Why can't you go to my school? You know?
Then COVID-19 happened. The seniors had to attend all their classes from home, and the seniors had to go into isolation. But as they say, the show must go on.
Hello, Episcopal Homes.
Hi, Episcopal Homes. We're thinking of you in this time.
The high school students each recorded a message and a performance for their friends in the Episcopal homes.
Here comes the sun, do-do-do-do.
Oh, I wanna dance with somebody.
The videos were put together into a virtual cabaret called Seniors to Seniors.
It just knocked our socks off. It was fantastic.
I don't think any of us knew that it was coming. Many of the students we recognized because we knew them.
And these kids are so talented. It was just blows your mind.
Love is like a butterfly, a rare and gentle thing. You know, it's not just doing the video for a class, it's doing it for people, you know, to try to lift their spirits, which kind of, for me, was like real incentive to make it something that meant something to me.
The seniors were able to watch the performances socially distanced in small theaters and also streamed in their rooms.
We felt like we needed a response.
We decided we were going to send the cabaret back to them.
It's a small world after all, the little lambs eat ivy.
Not to be outdone, the seniors made their own virtual cabaret and sent it back to the high school seniors. Both groups, young and old, may be separated by years and by a virus.
Noticing the days hurrying by.
But both sets of seniors say they remain connected and that the music is the thread between them.
It's the vulnerability, the way that you can really kind of dig deep inside. It's just so magical to like let go and sing.
It makes you realize how important music is to our lives.
Music is food for the soul. And I'm absolutely convinced of that.
Ode to a green glass ball and imperfection. A heavy, round, soft green glass ball. Heavy, soft green. Light plays through it, changing shadows When given to me years ago, a small bump sat inside on the glass bottom. Over time, the bump became a crack. Over time, the crack branched off into side cracks, through the middle, and up to the top. Now it is a splurge of brokenness, inviting light from all angles. At 83, I have bumps and cracks up through to my top. I hope light comes in and goes out through the brokenness, the cracks that I have become.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Marvin Plackett. I'm the CEO of Episcopal Homes. Welcome this evening. So glad you are joining us. We have so much to thank you for. First, I want to say to former Mayor Chris Coleman, you did your job. My wife, Davia Harold, said she was not going to have that cocktail tonight. You were so charming and engaging. She's just texted me. She had to have it, and she said, it is delicious. Way to go. Boy, do we ever have so much to be grateful for you, to be thankful for, to thank you. You have gone far above and beyond. How many ways? Well, let me tell you a few. If we go back a year ago, remember how much turmoil there was in society. There was a shortage of masks, of course, of general PPE, and there was even a shortage of materials and elastic to make masks and protect ourselves in the most basic way. We reached out to one of our good friends, Mimi Pollard, and between she and her husband, Alden Drew, they came up with a large quantity of fabric and with elastic, and they brought that over, and we had a small army of people making masks for our staff, for our residents. How vital that was at that time when, of course, this is way pre-vaccine, so the fear was high. The most vulnerable, that's who we have here at Episcopal Homes. Technology. When we couldn't meet in person, we had to physically distance. What did we have to do? We had to work with technology, which meant we needed iPads, we needed microphones, we needed headsets, and a whole variety of other equipment. You stepped forward, many of you, and some other organizations. Hand sanitizers and soap, basic things like that. There was a shortage of that as well. One of our family members from the Gardens came forward with 1,100 bottles of hand sanitizer made by the company that she's affiliated with or that her family owns. Such important gifts like that. Erna Karlstrom, she turned 105 last year. She was the first one to show us how we can celebrate even at times of intense regulation on the things we can't do, like we can't touch. We had to physically distance, wear masks and so forth. But Erna and her family, they were so determined that they showed us how through windows, through glass, and through technology, that we still could come together and celebrate in a major big way. Deb, my good friend, she does works of art when it comes to cards, when it comes to gift bags. Her materials really belong in like Victoria Magazine or Martha Stewart's Living Magazine. They are so outstanding. She spent hours and days and weeks making these marvelous works of art that really caused our residents to feel the love and joy. It came through, even though these were special cards. These are three-dimensional, and the gift bags were custom made. And so all of our residents that received these, they felt the love coming through. Donations. You came through on donations. Giving went up in 2020. Annual giving, the combination of annual giving, major gifts, and foundation grants totaled $1.7 million in 2020. That was $100,000 more than in 2019. And 2019 was a banner year because that was the year we celebrated our 125th anniversary. So thank you for that. Our sponsors for tonight and to help support 2 new programs that we have created. We started a program called Vision Partners. It's a way for companies that have had a long relationship with us to deepen that and strengthen that relationship. And the support, the sponsorship for tonight and the support of being a member of the Vision Partners is to support our Employee Emergency Fund and to support our Employee Scholarship Fund. So we are very grateful for our sponsors. And at the Catalyst level, we have Holmes Murphy and Associates, Kowalski's Markets, and in your swag bag, you saw there was a magazine. They had a chance to put in one of their items in there. So that was a magazine from Kowalski's. Marsh McClellan Agency. At the community builder level, we have Advanced Health Institute, Bank of America, Colliers Securities, TWP Architects. At the supporter level, Medica and Wellington Management, Inc. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors for helping us get a firm, should I say, firm initiation of these new funds, this Employee Emergency Fund and our Employee Scholarship Fund. As you know, we have a lot of, at Episcopal Homes, we have half of our staff are new immigrants. Over half the staff are persons of color. And we have a fair number of staff that are at that poverty level. And so they are one car repair away from not being able to afford their rent. So these funds are really vital. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you for all of you, also individual donors that have contributed to these funds. It really makes a difference. It matters. You know, technology and cards, they're wonderful, but they don't replace the human touch. And what you did for us, volunteers, through your time, your talent, and treasure, we went as far as we possibly could have to still enrich life and build community with those we serve. So that's what your time, talent, and treasure did at this vital time, at this time of pandemic, right? Where the whole world is turned upside down in terms of our normal routines. You helped us still enrich life and build community with older adults. Thank you so much. You showed compassion. You showed love by going above and beyond. You provided that extra measure. That extra measure of all those things that turn an apartment or a room or a meal into a home, into a fully enriched life. And that's what Episcopal Homes aims to always be, is to be enriching life and building community with older adults. And we can't do it without you. That's what we're here tonight about, thanking you. You know, the theme for tonight is Hope is in the Air. Doesn't that sound good? Hope is in the air. Because of you, hope is in the air. You've opened up rather than shutting down. You are amazing. We are so grateful. It is now my pleasure to introduce T. Michael Rambo. He is locally and nationally recognized. He is a vocalist, an educator, and an actor. And he is here with Thomas West, a local jazz pianist who is in high demand. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Episcopal Homes, and all of you out there. You know, one of the beautiful things you've heard already, whether it be from Chris or from Melvin, it's the fact that here at Episcopal Homes, there are so many amazing things to accentuate. And today, you'll hear about so many of them and so much that is in store for the residents here and from you as we ask you today to consider all the positive things that happen at Episcopal Homes. You've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. Oh, you got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. To illustrate my last remark, Noah in the whale, Jonah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looks so dark? Man, they said you got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. Come on, Tom. Ooh, Playboy, play. Ooh, listen to all that positive vibe, y'all. Woo! That's it. I taught him that. Maybe not. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do when everything looked so dark? Man, they had to say you got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. Oh, no, no, no. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. That felt pretty good. One more time, y'all. Hey, don't mess with Mr. In Between. Oh, yeah.
Good evening. I'm Sister Annette Ralph. I'm here tonight to talk to you about this most amazing year we have just experienced. But before I get into many details, I would like to take a few moments of personal privilege. In my day, 127 years ago, when we read evening prayer together, we always recited the Magnificat after the first lesson. There's one phrase that stands out for me and has intrigued me since my childhood. And that phrase is the imagination of their hearts. Think about it. It's our hearts that spark the imagination, not our brains, our hearts. In the Magnificat, the concern is about the proud and what is in their hearts. But the same could be said for the humble and what is in their hearts. So I would like to suggest that what has happened this year at Episcopal Homes is a matter of the heart, a lot of hearts whose motivation stems from love and not pride. 127 years ago, when I first started looking for a grace-filled home for older women, I could not have imagined what Episcopal Homes would become. Now I look around at what has evolved and I am stunned and delighted. It took a lot of imagination to add to the church home, what has become a home from When I was there, 4 people. Now it's 1,400 people. All kinds of people with many different backgrounds and needs, but all needing companionship and grace to live fulfilling lives. Then the pandemic came, and of necessity, changes had to be made and made quickly. No more commingling among the various houses for activities or visits to the pub. No more visiting with family and friends from outside the buildings. Yet the mission never changed. You had to help the residents stay healthy emotionally and physically. There was a lot of heart, love, imagination that went into making that happen. Most importantly, our CEO, Marvin Plackett, immediately called senior management together for a daily meeting on Zoom. This meant that everyone was getting the same message about efforts to deal with the COVID response. It made all the difference in the world for how smoothly changes were made. The active living staff came up with ways to keep us moving, and it worked. Most of the residents stayed healthy and COVID-free. The chaplains were able to use the in-house TV channels so residents could have some kind of religious attention. The dietary staff had to find ways to feed us without the use of the dining rooms. The residents had to do their part too. They had to learn all sorts of new skills in order to stay in touch with family and friends. They learned about Zoom and how to use donated iPads. Singing together is a big part of life together at Episcopal Homes. And the last summer, the big puzzle was how to give our summer concert. It so happened that the city did not fill the pond in Iris Park. Kristen, along with Joey Clark from McPhail, came up with a plan. If we sang in the pond, socially distanced, we could have a concert. And so we did. It's been a busy heart imagination year. We all learned so much. We improvised, we cared for each other, and I would say we not only survived this year, but we thrived, thanks to the heart motivation of so many staff, volunteers, family, and residents. Thank you all.
Hello. Thank you, Sister Annette. I don't know if you know this, but that wasn't the real Sister Annette. We couldn't get her. That was the amazing Lynn Lawyer playing Sister Annette. So thank you, Lynn. And thank you, Team Michael, Marvin. Team Michael, wherever he is, there's a party not far behind. And it's great to be here. Really great to be here. You never know where you're going to be as a storyteller. And to come in here, this environment, this pub, like everyone's been saying, this place is absolutely incredible. The staff, the nurses, everybody. And as Sister Annette was saying, the technology has changed everything. I was looking on Facebook the other day and they had a picture of a dog and the dog was saying, nah, you know, I don't eat homework anymore. Now I just hit the delete button. So things have changed quite a bit. I wanted, as a storyteller, to be able to connect with folks here. That's what we do as storytellers. So I went, and I know we get bulletins wherever we live. We get bulletins that are sent out. So I looked up bulletins, and I ran into these church bulletins. These are actual bulletins that were in a church. The first one is, the fasting and prayer conference includes meals. The sermon this morning, Jesus walks on the water. Sermon tonight, searching for Jesus. Ladies, don't forget the rummage sale. It's a chance to get rid of those things not worth keeping around the house. Bring your husbands. Don't let worry kill you off. Let the church help. For those of you who have children and don't know it, there's a nursery downstairs. The low self-esteem group will meet Thursday at 7. Please use back door. And finally, the 8th graders will be presenting Shakespeare's Hamlet in the church basement Friday at 7. All are invited to attend this tragedy. So there we have it. There's our announcements through the bulletin. A few years ago, I was traveling. I was up in St. Cloud, and there was a church across the street, and they had hot dish contest. in the window. Cool, a hot dish contest, I'm not missing that. So I went to it, and since I was one of the only ones that didn't bring a hot dish, they made me a judge. And I'm going through the hot dishes. Okay, I already know who's gonna win. Tater tot hot dish, that's my favorite one. So I counted the tater tot hot dish, and I go, okay, I got my winner, but I kept going. And then I came across a hot dish that said steak hot dish. What? No, steak hot dish? No, that's all. No, you don't use steak in a hot dish. But then next to the hot dish, I saw this list of ingredients, and I went down the ingredients, and there was an asterisk by the word steak. So I went to the bottom of the page, and it said, steak may be replaced with wieners. So winner, 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 that one won. So these are some of the signs. Signs coming up. There's signs of spring. It's all in the air, especially today. I see that you all were mulching here at Episcopal Homes. There's mulch all over. It's beautiful. That's going to grow into flowers, and that should be up here any time now, because we do have second winter in Minnesota. We can't forget that. We have to remember to celebrate. I mean, it's been mentioned, and I could not agree more that it's so important to remember to laugh and to celebrate in these times, because times aren't always easy. I remember going to my niece's recital a couple of winters ago, and she played the violin, one of those Suzuki violins where they were playing a Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star, and there were 5 little girls on stage. All of a sudden, as soon as I got started, the bow of my niece's violin got caught in the hair of the little girl next to her. But my niece didn't stop. She kept playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and that little girl's head was just going back and forth. But she muscled through it. She was going to have fun no matter what. I think we got to learn from my niece. People even said she had what it takes to go into professional music. My friend Al Baker, he's a medicine man up in La Coudray, up at the reservation. And he says, you can survive anything with sense of humor and sense of self. When he said that, I started to think of sense of self and the word resiliency. I don't know if you know, the word resiliency actually means maintaining one's shape. And how do we maintain our shape when we've been through things like we're going through now, when our shape has been compromised? We do it through our family, our faith, and our community. That's how we survive. So I started thinking of my family, my aunts and uncles. And I remember they would talk, they lived through the Depression. And they said that orange they got for Christmas was the best tasting orange they'd ever had in their lives. And for my whole life, I really never understood that. I would nod and say, yeah, I believe you. But now I understand what they're talking about. These small things like a hug, like being with people, these things like that orange, how important they really are. I think of the word belonging. It's one of my favorite words because it's 2 words, being and longing. Being somewhere, but longing to be somewhere else at the same time. And it's true, we both need a nest and we need vastness. We need safety, but we need to be challenged. That's one of the things I love about Episcopal Homes is all the events, all the things going on in this place, all these ways you're challenged, all these ways you're comfortable, you're safe, you're in an environment with your friends, but also you're challenged with the arts, with music. I couldn't be more thrilled for this place. So that brings me to my grandmother. They lived on a farm. My grandparents were farmers, and I loved going to that farm. We had what was called unstructured time, which now they call boredom. But I was never bored on that farm. Man, I loved it. And I haven't been bored to this day. Okay, I've been to some plays where I wished I was somewhere else, and other plays where I would have fallen asleep if I hadn't been the one talking. But I still have never been bored. And I have my grandparents to thank. My grandpa was one of those German farmers, as wide as he was tall. We used to say if it wasn't for the direction of his buttons, we wouldn't have known if he was laying down or standing up. And there's a story about my grandpa that sums him up the best. And it's about a farmer in northern Minnesota. And he had 162 acres. And that was it, 162 acres. But he was so proud of his farm. One day, a man from Texas was visiting. And the man was bragging about his farm, the Minnesotan. And finally, the Texan couldn't take it. And he says, okay, look, my ranch in Texas, I get in my truck in the morning and I start driving. And by nightfall, I haven't hit the end of my ranch. And the Minnesotan said, Yeah, I used to have a truck like that. So that's my grandma. My grandma was one of those tough Teutonic German farmers, man. Everything in its right place, everything in its right order. I remember my grandma, there's a rooster on the farm, would always peck me, and she'd say, just stay away from that rooster. One day that rooster pecked my sister, and that night we ate chicken. Toughest chicken I ever ate. But from that rooster, I learned, be careful who you peck. So there was all this little fear surrounding my grandmother. And but every week we would go into town. This was one of my favorite things. Grandma, we'd sit in her car at Angle Parking and we'd watch people walk by. And my grandma would have a running commentary of the action of the town. We would go for 3-4 hours sitting on the main street of the town. And I remember one time, a woman passed the front of the car. And as she passed, her drawers fell from underneath her dress and onto the pavement. But with this beautiful maneuver, she kicked them with her toe and they went up in the air and landed right in her purse. Without missing a beat, my grandma said, I would have left them. All of a sudden she sees a yellow car. She says, Kevin, whose yellow car is that? I go, I don't know, Grandma. I guess when you don't know who someone's car is in a small town, it is cause for concern. And then she says, oh, that restaurant closed. I knew they would. They opened on the day of a funeral. Kevin, never open a restaurant on the day of a funeral. Okay, Grandma. And then all of a sudden she sees her friend, Charlene. She says, Charlene, Charlene. Charlene comes over. She says, hello, Grace. My grandma's name was Grace. She says, Grace, whose car is that? I don't know. I don't know either. All right, Charlene. All right, Grace. She's gone. My grandma says, don't look. I look. She goes, that woman, she spits. Sure enough, this woman spit. Now, I was 9 years old at the time and considered a champion spitter, known on the playground for accuracy and distance. But this woman spit did her bidding in midair. It went around a fire hydrant and hit a cup. I'm looking up and she's staring right at me. And that's when I hear my grandma say, Kevin, never fall for a woman who spits. But I'm thinking, Grandma, you are so too late on this one. Now, my grandma had rules, no dogs in the house. I said, Grandma, it's a wiener dog. It'll die outside. She goes, okay, but one accident, and that will be it. And it would have been two. For some strange reason, that dog always stayed right next to my grandma. So I asked my brother, and he says, yeah, he said, he saw Grandma sneaking the dog food under the dinner table. And one by one, everybody in my house said they'd seen my grandma sneaking that dog treats. My grandma gave out her love like those treats, a little bit at a time. And there was never any doubt that she didn't love us all so much. And once a year, we would all go into the parlor, and my grandma would sit at the piano and play songs from the 1920s and 30s. And her high voice would be cracking and that piano sounding horribly out of tune until my grandma sang, and then it all made sense. And even as the years progressed and her arthritis worsened, my grandma once a year would sit at that piano and play through the pain. Through that grandma, I learned to always, always, always play through the pain, and that there's beauty and wonder in the mundane. There's beauty and wonder in the everyday. Her name was Grace, and she really was the word grace, because you think of grace as a touch with the divine, but in reality, it's finding the divine in the everyday. When does the everyday come up and shine and we see the divine? And that leads me to my next story. I'm working in this grade school, and I always tell, you probably noticed my two arms are different. I only have 4 fingers on this side and no thumb. And there was this little girl in the class, and I always say, when I'm done, we can't high five because I only have 4 fingers, but we can high 4. So this little girl comes up and we high 4. And when we're done, I say, no, I say high 4. And she says, no, high 2. She has 2 fingers on her hand. So we high 4 and she high 2'd. And I asked her teacher, I said, you know, is she okay? How's she doing in school? And her teacher said, let me tell you. She said, we were doing a project. We were drawing turkeys. I don't know if you did this as a kid. You put your hand on a piece of paper and you draw around your hand, and your fingers become the feathers and your thumb becomes the head of the turkey. Well, the teacher had them put both hands down so they had 2 turkeys facing each other. And the kids did all their drawings. and they turned them in. And then the teacher's going through the drawings, and she comes across that little girl's, and there's one turkey with all of its feathers and one turkey with just 2 feathers. She thought, I wonder if that's going to embarrass her. So she told the little girl, you know, you can redo your drawing and use the same hand for both turkeys. So the little girl redid her drawing, 2 turkeys with 2 feathers on both sides. So with that, I would like to lead in to the video brought to you by Episcopal Homes. And thank you.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
How you doing?
Hi.
How are you? I do feel blessed and grateful that our mom is in such good care, that she has people around her that really love her so much and take great care of her, who are really part of our family, feel like they're part of our family.
I hear the real, though far off song that hails a new creation. Oh, the jewel in the sky, I hear the music ringing. It finds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing?
Hi, I'm Joey Clark, and I lead the Sage Singers at Episcopal Homes. When the pandemic hit, I'm one of those people who are just like a problem solver, you know? So when I see a problem, I just think, how am I going to solve this, right? Ironically, like the Sage Singers has actually grown in size during the pandemic, which is unheard of. I don't know too many choirs that have gotten bigger while they can't get together to rehearse.
And through Zoom, those relationships grew. It's just virtual. And we learned how to adapt. And that's why I think we're so resilient, because our elders and the people we serve also learned how to adapt.
What's so incredible about our experience together is that it allows us to live in the moment. Not only is it just like something to do, but it's gratifying in that it is an activity that engages your mind, it engages your body, it engages your spirit. There is a communal aspect to it. There is an idea that you are working towards a common goal. I think that the joy that has come from communal experiences here is something that lives through a pandemic.
It's a little overwhelming for me to be singing solo into a microphone, even if I'm all by myself with just somebody taping it. But it's been fun, and it's been worth doing, and I've learned a lot of new things. They figured out things that they could do to keep us involved.
We have these big rooms, the big space, and more important, the intention, the deliberate intention that staff figures out. We constantly think of ways to get us out of our apartments.
So you hear so much about the isolation, and you're hearing so much about loneliness or people's longing for connection. And what was happening on campus here was actually kind of the opposite. And how lucky are we that we get that? We get that through community. And so our donors and our volunteers have stepped up in ways that have been immeasurable, and they've supported us through things like our Employee Assistance Fund, which has been so necessary. And by creating a container around things like creative ventures so that we can continue to not just do things like Sage Singers, but to make sure that we have ongoing programming, to make sure that we have the support that we need in place so that residents were able to stay connected to their families through technology.
How can I keep from singing?
I just think, I wish everybody could work for Episcopal Homes. I wish for everybody the kind of meaningful work that I've had access to.
I don't even feel afraid of sort of sounding Pollyanna at this point, because this place, it fills my heart every day. And that is a big deal in a world that is so full of pain. I think the leadership here, whether that was from our nursing folks who kind of had to create and maintain infection control protocols, to our staff who did so much heavy lifting around resident care, and many of whom at great personal risk. And truly were what Mr. Rogers calls the helpers. They were the ones who ran toward COVID-19. They didn't run away. They didn't go home.
I'm going to cry.
I feel that our leadership has kept us safe. I feel the drive from Marvin Plackett to go out of his way to give daily messages, to walk so people can see him, to reach out to those elders every day has made a profound impact on our community, and I would never work anywhere else.
I think we're very lucky. I think we're extremely lucky to be here. Those of us that are living here, whether we're in a church home or in independent living or assisted living, that we have things that we can do that keep ourselves active and important.
I don't know who heard me, but somebody must have heard me say that my sewing machine was ailing. Julie and Stacy got me the sewing machine, a Kenmore. I never had nobody give me a sewing machine before. To the homeless people.
How does it make you feel?
Good. I told them when I make them, I always have somebody in mind, like a man or a woman can use them. But I just make sure that if it was me, I would want this and I would want that.
We're so grateful for our volunteers here at Episcopal Homes. I can't speak for everyone else's departments, but in spiritual life, they're just essential. They're lovely people who are coming from just such a place of heart. But we need and we love our volunteers because it allows us to reach more people and to do more good.
It is a beautiful place to live. The place is filled with love. You can feel it when you come here. I think it's been great. She's got a great support system here with Curie and Andrea, and there's ongoing activities here that should keep them busy.
Now that summer is coming and spring is here, we know that we have gotten through this. There's a sense of renewal in the air that we can do this. And that vibrancy is just showing itself everywhere.
We are learning and growing every moment we are alive. And I think that is so true in our music making together and in our theater making together and in our Tai Chi classes and in our swimming and in our socializing in the pub. But all of the activities that we engage in allow us to grow. And how wonderful that Episcopal Homes has such a variety, thanks to donors, of activities to choose from.
I hope our donors and our volunteers have some sense of how valuable they are to us. And I hope that they have that experience of the English proverb, when we give, we gather, that what we give comes around, that when we give, we are gifted. And I hope that they experience that beautiful truth and that their hearts are full, just as they give so much to our residents and our staff.
And Mom, can I just say that your caregivers are like the best, right?
Yes, they are.
They're so fantastic. And we consider them really like family members.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
It's really a vibrant, thriving, living community.
Love you, Mom.
Thank you. That video gets me. I mean, the beautiful choir, the things going on here. It reminds me, none of us get through this world alone. It's the help and to have somebody on the journey with us. And then you get to share the journey with somebody. This place is really something. I think when I was a kid, it was my grandma. Again, going back to her, she'd tell me these stories. One was the Tanvertrollet. The Tanvertroll was this Norwegian troll that was so small it could get in your teeth and dig little caves in your teeth and it would live in there. I'd say, well, Grandma, what do we do about that? She'd say, well, you have to brush. And so, and there was another one that could come into your room at night, and it had a long nose. There's this troll that could suck your guts out from your belly button. I'm going, Grandma, what do I do about that? She goes, well, you have to clean your room and stepping across clothes left on the floor. I go, Grandma, why don't you just tell me to clean my room and brush my teeth? But she always had these stories. And but then she realized I wasn't getting into fairy tales. And I said, because it's always bad for the guy with a disability. And my grandma says, no, Kevin, stories can go any way you want them to go. That's why they were called folk tales, because they changed with the folks. And then she told me this story. She said, back in the day when pots and pans could talk, which indeed they still do, there was this man that would go to the river and fill 2 pots with water and bring them home. Well, one day, a small crack developed in one of the pots. And as time went on, that crack widened until by the time the man got home, all the water had leaked out of that pot. So finally, the pot turns to the man and says, please, every day you take me to the river and every day the water leaks out. Would you please replace me with another pot? And the man turned to the pot and said, look down the trail. And the pot looked down the trail. And on the side of the path with the pot that didn't have a crack, it was craggy and rocky and barren. But on the side of the path with the pot with the crack, wildflowers grew. And the man said, every day it's you that waters those flowers. Every day you make my difficult journey beautiful. I think I'll keep you. And with that, my grandma would wrap her large German arms around me and say, I think we'll keep you. So I think she's one of the reasons I became a storyteller. I know she is. But the key with my grandma, and the key that I'm finding out here at Episcopal Homes, is listening. People that listen. I remember, again, I was in another class with those kids again, little kids, and I tell them, you know, what makes you different gives you power. I said, what makes us the same gives us resiliency, but what makes you different gives you power. And I'd say, find out what makes you different, and then we'll make superhero characters out of it. And then we went around the room, and every kid would name what made them different and why they had a superhero character. Okay, I get to this little girl, and she said, I'm really, really shy. And I said, I know you haven't said anything all week, but why does that give you power? And she said, because sometimes people forget I'm in the room and I'm invisible and I know everything. And she did. She knew everything. I mean, she knew about every kid in the class. I could come up, I could ask about teachers. Every once in a while, I'd be talking to a teacher, there she'd be. I'd say, where'd you come from? And from that little girl, I started to listen. I started to listen with my whole body. And you know what happened? Empathy. When I listened with my whole self, I had empathy, it's one of the greatest gifts in the world, because you get the wisdom from someone else through their experience. And so one of the things I've noticed around Episcopal Homes is the empathy, the ability to listen, story after story after story, hearing what's going on. One of my friends was a psychiatrist that works with soldiers coming back from Afghanistan and earlier Iraq, said, the sentence that has saved more lives than any other is you will find love again. And it's really true that love just keeps coming around again and again and again. And that's one of the things that we're going to find not only through COVID, but after COVID, is those relationships coming back to us, those relationships physically coming back to us. And this leads me to my final story. Okay, I'm in the hospital. You probably noticed that my right arm hasn't been moving. That's because I was in a motorcycle accident years ago and lost the use of my arm. So I'm in the hospital, and 9/11 happened at the same time. The last tragedy to really strike this country happened at the same time I was in the hospital. So I watched the whole country going through this trauma like I was going through personally. And every day I'd take the elevator down to the bottom floor and I would try to walk a half a block. That's all the further I could make it. One day I'm in the elevator and there's this little kid, he's 8 years old, and he said, I hit my head on a fence post and I had to get 8 stitches here. He points to the back of his head. I go, oh yeah? I had to get stitches from here to here, down my chest, down one arm, and down one leg to the floor. Well, the kid looks at me and says, yeah, but mine really hurt. He's got me. He's got me. There is no way to judge another man's pain. So I get to the bottom floor and I take my walk and I come back to the lobby and there's my wife, Mary. And she's standing there with an apple. And she said, these apples are really good. I just bought one from the gift shop. And I don't know if you've ever been through surgeries, but if you've been intubated or you've been through surgeries, all of a sudden you lose all flavor. A lot of people with COVID say they have had the same experience that they lose flavor. And when you lose flavor, I just stopped eating and I was starting to lose a lot of weight and Mary was worried about me. So she got me this apple. I said, I don't know, Mary. She says, please take a bite for me. Okay. So I took the apple and I took a bite and that was the day flavor returned. And this sweetness hit my mouth. When the sweetness hit my mouth, I started to cry. And as the tears washed out all the antibiotics and toxins, that burning in my eyes, it felt so good. And between the burning in my eyes and the sweetness in my mouth, it felt so good to be alive. I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And my prayers shifted to prayers of thanks. And you know, I don't know whether good things happened to me because I was saying thank you or I just started noticing them more. You know, it doesn't matter. Every day I find blessings in my curses. So I'll be at home with Mary. We're sitting in front of the fire and there's our wiener dogs. We have wiener dogs. Wiener dogs really help me heal because you'll never see a more can-do attitude in a more can't-do body than a wiener dog. And oh yeah, and we have a basset hound now too. A basset hound. He was 10 weeks old and the breeder dropped him off. And she said, now when it comes to training a basset hound, they start out slow, but then they taper off. So we got our basset hound, our wiener dogs, and we're sitting there in front of the fire. And I take just a moment. I take just a moment to pray and say, thank you, thank you, thank you, which is what I want to tell you all today. Thank you. Thank you for being in this journey with us, to help us know how we belong, to be recognized. It's the most important thing. And I'm going to close with a poem. This poem is based on the fact that our bodies don't contain the minerals for life. We needed stars and asteroids and comets to crash into this planet to give us iron. Iron comes from outer space. Minerals come from outer space. And so if that's true, everybody here is a piece of a star. And if that's true, we are a constellation. Episcopal Homes is a constellation. And if that's true, these are things that I've learned in my time among the constellations. I've learned there are families I share my blood and families that I would give my blood. I've learned that love thrives in audacity, dies in carelessness, and hides in the simplest of gestures. I've learned knowledge is acquired, but wisdom is recognized. I've learned there's the trip you plan, and then there's the trip you take. And home has gone from a place that is to one I remember to one I now create, where I know the name of the God, what's funny, what's edible, what's sacred, and now where I will find you. So I'm looking up at the stars, and I know now, though not burning any longer, some still send their light. So I'm looking up to the past and the future. I'm looking to home. And somewhere between where I stand and they send their light, we meet. Me looking to the heavens and the stars looking down at what it's like to be alive. Thank you all. Thank you, Episcopal Homes.
Wow. The great Kevin Kling. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Prayers of thanks. You know, while tonight we're giving thanks to you, our donors, our volunteers, those that are giving of their time, talent, and treasure, I feel like I also want to say a special big thank you to all those we serve. They provide us with so much wisdom and meaning every single day. For our wonderful staff, those especially on the front line that truly have been for so long now risking their lives every day. We are so deeply thankful. And there are others that need to be mentioned. You know, other prayers of thanks. One of the rituals that we had to set aside temporarily, longer than we wanted to, a beautiful ritual is the procession of honor. When one breathes their last breath at Episcopal Homes, we provide a procession of honor. It is led by our spiritual life department, and it's a marvelous ritual. It's a marvelous experience for friends, family, staff, anybody who's around to meet where the family is gathered, where the person has died, to walk then with the person to the exit door, where prayers and music are a part of that ceremony. It's a rich, beautiful experience. It's come back. 2 months ago, the procession of honor has returned, and it's a beautiful thing. Last week, there was a large procession of honor. Just today, there was a very beautiful special procession of honor. So prayers of thanks, I'm so grateful that our procession of honor has returned. I need to recognize some more people and give great thanks. I didn't mention in terms of our businesses that supported. Cub Foods Midway, thank you for your support. ECMN, Episcopal Homes of Minnesota, for supporting our mission and event tonight. I failed to mention as one of our catalysts, Mars and Power at the catalyst level. Thank you so much. And once again, to all of our business sponsors, Mars and Power, Holmes and Murphy, Kowalski's Markets, Marsh McClellan Agency, Advanced Health Institute, Bank of America, Collier Securities, TWP Architects, Medica, and Wellington Management, Inc. Thank you very much. Mimi Pollard, boy, do you deserve a special recognition. All of you that received a swag bag, and if you haven't, ask us for one. We'll still get you one. It's a marvelous bag. I participated in some of these remote experiences where I've received the bag in advance. Nothing compares to the one that we have done. That swag bag was made by Mimi Pollard. Thank you, Mimi. Everyone is unique. Everyone's a little different. They're terrific. Mimi is amazing. She sewed them all. I want to once again thank our special guests, Kevin Kling, the great Kevin Kling. I want to thank so much T. Michael Rambo, and our pianist. I am sorry, just for the moment, I've lost that. I'm so sorry, David West. I want to thank former Mayor Chris Coleman, Lynn Lawyer's sister Annette, and for tonight, all the work that went into making this event happen. Mary Ruthio and her team. Susan Marshak did a fantastic job, worked overwhelming hours to make this happen. Lauren Hurd joined her to a large extent. And there's so many others here at Episcopal Homes that worked very hard to make this event happen. It doesn't, I just show up. I do the easy part. I just show up. They work for days, weeks, and months to make it happen. So thank you to all of you. And then I want to close by once again saying a very big thank you to each one of you. I wish I could name you all. There's just too many. But what you do, what your time, your talent, and your treasure, it really matters. It makes a difference, believe me, in the ways we've mentioned and in so many other ways that we didn't have time to mention tonight. So thank you to everyone. Okay, now to close us out tonight, we once again have T. Michael Rambo and David West. Take it away.
It is what a treat to be a part of this procession of honor here at Episcopal Homes. And Tom, are you about ready for us to get this thing going? Because you know, one thing's important. When life's trials and tribulations come a-knocking, it's always important to have someone you can lean on. sometimes in our lives, we know that there's always tomorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow for, no one can fill all of your needs if you won't let show. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother and sister, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is the load you have to bear that you can't carry on, they're like the load to carry your load. You know you can call on me. Just call me now, call me if you need a friend. Call me now, call me now, call me. Come on now, call me. Last time, call me. Lean on me. Thank you, Thomas West.